With the 5 principles I'm going to teach you today, I was able to make more than the average Fortune 500 CEO from the age of 18 for over 5 years in a row, which resulted in me doing some pretty cool things. Retiring my mom, taking care of my friends, building multiple companies off of the back of my first successful business, and documenting the entire journey from the age of 15 here on YouTube. And because of my public success, being able to teach thousands of others how to do the same. Just like Premek, who just hit 25,000 in monthly recurring revenue and 21 active clients with his agency in just 10 months with this business. Or Daniel, who just collected $30,000 from a single deal. Or my 15-year-old student, Edvin, who just signed an $11,400 deal just 6 days into his new agency. Now, I wanna make something clear. I certainly cannot guarantee that you will get the same results. But what I can 100% guarantee is that what I'm about to give you is the exact same system that myself and all of these students use to achieve the same results. So I'm gonna cover 5 things today. The first is how making money online really works and why you're not making money yet. Then I wanna talk about how to guarantee that you never succeed online. Then we need to discuss the 2 principles you need to run a profitable business and why you need profitable fidelity. And then we move on to why making $100,000 with an agency is actually very achievable. And then lastly, we discuss how you can get your first paying client within the next 6 weeks using Agency Accelerator. Now, before I give you the plan to make your first $1,000 in 6 weeks, and before I even talk about anything agency specific, we need to discuss something. Do you believe that starting a business has to be risky? Do you believe that you have to have money to make money? Well, what I want to do right now is to prove to you why none of those beliefs are true and why having them is the very thing that stops you from making money in the first place. And if you actually want to make money online, you need to understand this, because failing to understand this one concept is how you guarantee that you never succeed online. So let's start by breaking down why starting a business is seen as risky. And let's think about one specific type of business here to make this example as tangible as possible. So let's not even use online business yet. Let's just keep it super simple. Let's think about a shoe store. What do you need if you want to start a shoe store? Well, first of all, you need shoes to sell, right? And then you're gonna need a place to sell those shoes, a physical location. And then you're gonna need people to sell those shoes for you. And you're also gonna need people to visit your store to buy these shoes. Okay, so if you have a bunch of different shoes, a physical location, salespeople to sell your stuff, and people to buy your stuff, well then congratulations, you are able to run a shoe store. Now, how do we get those 4 things? Well, to have a bunch of different shoes, we have to invest in inventory. And to have a physical location, obviously we need to pay rent. And to have salespeople, well, you have to have payroll. And to have people visiting your store, you gotta invest into marketing. And all of that takes what? Money. So when you think about a business like that, it makes sense to think that you have to have money to make money. And it also makes sense to think that it's risky. Why? Because let's say that to run this store and cover the costs of inventory, rent, payroll, and marketing, it costs you a conservative $10,000 a month. And you've worked a 9-to-5 job for the last 3 years and you've managed to save $20,000. Now, let's say that the first month you start running this business and you only managed to make $5,000 in sales. Well, now you only have $15,000 left from your savings. And then let's say the second month, the same thing happens. Now you're down to $10,000 left in your savings. And this is very normal. Businesses take time to get off the ground. And then third month, you actually manage to make the same 10,000, but something unexpected happens and your costs go up to 14,000 that month. So now you have another 4,000 in losses out of your $10,000 saved. So now you only have $6,000 saved. And then the fourth month, business is really bad and you only made $3,000. And now you're in a really bad situation. You use your $6,000, the last savings that you have, to cover your expenses, and you still owe $1,000. So you not only can't afford to keep the business running, but you also have to go into debt to pay the remaining $1,000. And that is how you get into debt and burn all of your savings. In 4 months, you managed to burn through all of your $20,000 that it took you 3 years to save. And that is why it's correct to say that this type of business is risky. And the fact is, this is a true story for 99% of business models out there. And on top of that, this type of business requires full-time attention. So it means that if you do have a job or an income source today, you need to drop that in a heartbeat in order to start this kind of business, which increases the risks even further because now you're sacrificing your existing income and trading it for a potential higher income that you don't even know if you'll ever get to. And putting yourself into such situation is indeed risky, especially if you already have a lot of fixed costs and expenses in your personal life. Now, let me ask you a question. Would this business still be risky if instead of costing you $10,000 a month to run this business, it costed you $0 or whatever, let's say $50 a month? Well, let's think about it. Let's say you start a business that for some reason costs you $0 a month to run, and you run it for a month and you make zero from it. So at the end of the month, you're at zero, but you also had zero costs and you made zero money. So nothing really happened. So if you do have $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, or even zero money saved up, it makes no difference because you're not spending any of it. Then let's say on your second and third month, you also make zero money. You spent zero, you made zero. So still zero at the end of 3 months. Then month 4, things start clicking, things start working. And I have been saying this for almost a decade online. Once again, go look back at 2015, 2016 when I started my agency. Before I even had any money, I've been saying, when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Usually in life, it takes time. It's not up, downs, up, downs. Usually it's a lot of flat. Sometimes in life, really bad things can happen. And usually it's not one bad thing that happens. It's multiple bad things that happen in a given period. But without dark, there's no light. So the inverse is true. When good things happen, usually it happens in a bunch. So in this scenario, in your 4 month, you finally get momentum. When it rains, it pours, things start going well, and you make $5,000 that month, which now means that you have made $5,000 without having to invest a dime into the business. If you had your $20,000 saved, or let's say you had zero, it didn't make any difference because it's all still there. Plus, now you have $5,000 more on top of it. While with the example of the other business, you started with $20,000 saved and ended up with zero saved, plus having debt over your head to cover your costs. So what were the risks with running this operation at the end of the day? Literally zero. Your risks were literally zero because at worst case scenario, the worst thing that can happen is nothing happens. You don't make anything, you don't lose anything. So even if everything goes wrong, every single financial aspect of your life remains the exact same before and after trying this business. Meaning, there is no risk involved because it doesn't cost you anything to run this business. And that is why starting and running a business doesn't have to be risky. And by the way, when I say this is coming from someone who owns more than half a dozen businesses and has invested in a couple dozen others. Literally within my view right now, I literally have multiple of my companies in front of me. I'm literally sipping on a big day right now. You know how much money I put into that business before we ever even launched? Over $1 million. Just to get the business started. Then I've got my eyewear brand, Gadzhi, right here. Fair enough, this business, I only got off the ground with 50 grand, but that was 4 years ago. But these days, I mean, shit, we're always sold out. But every time we drop, we make a few $100,000, and you know where that money goes? Straight into my pocket. That's a joke. It doesn't go in my pocket. You know where that money actually goes? Into reinvesting into more stock, into more SKUs of the product. I've literally got a prototype of one of our other SKUs right here. And as I am talking to you right now, I literally have the notes for today's video that I prepared inside one of my flows inside of my software company, Flowzy. Once again, I started that business 4 years ago and once again invested unspeakable amounts of money to get that thing off the ground. And I've never taken a dime out of it because every time we grow, I have to reinvest into better developers, a better CTO, better infrastructure, offices. We have 2 physical offices for that business, me and my business partner. And these are some of my business that I can just literally see in front of me. So listen to me right now when I tell you this stuff, because I have the context. Like I can speak to you as someone who, when these other people talk about businesses, they just have a YouTube channel. They don't know what it's like to put $1 million into a business without even knowing if it's gonna work out. I mean, just this week alone, I'm signing off on a lease that is a 10-year lease with a 5-year break clause, and the yearly rental is almost $500,000. It's for one of my new physical businesses here in Dubai, and it's a state-of-the-art facility. So I'm literally signing a 10-year lease, fair enough, 5-year break clause, but nonetheless, I'm making a multi-year commitment with no money coming in. So for example, when your parents say, oh, starting a business is risky, they're not wrong. They're actually not wrong. In the 90s, in the 80s, even 15 years ago, it actually was. But times have changed, and if you pick the right business, you know what? You might not succeed for a month. You might not succeed for 2 months. You might not even succeed for 6 months. But who cares? If you stay at it, and month 8 is the month that things pop off for you, and the luck and the tide goes in your favor, and that's when you start succeeding. Once again, it's irrelevant because what is your other option? Your only option is start a business here that is right for you. You know the reason I don't tell you to go start a company and invest $1 million into stock? Because that would have been very stupid for me to do when I was first starting a business. Because I didn't have that kind of money, and I shouldn't have put myself at that kind of risk. You know why I don't tell you guys to start a software company and spend millions of dollars over the last few years in running costs and development? Because that's not the right business for you to start right now. So the reason I get passionate about this stuff is because I see so much bullshit online. People trying to feed you so much shit. And I see this other funny thing of people being like, oh, but you don't do that anymore, so I should just do what you're doing. I mean this in the least offensive way possible. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of followers, like I do, and tens of millions of dollars, you should not do what I do. You should do what I did to get to the point where I could have that stuff. So I really need you to start thinking clearly here and realize, just like if you were at the gym, there's a certain amount of weight that I can bench press. Should I then go look at a power lifter and go, oh no, but you're bench pressing that much, so you know what, let me just do your training protocol? No, because his training protocol is not appropriate to me. Because I do not have that level of experience. I need to put the repetitions in. I need to walk the path to get to his level. That's not to say that I couldn't get to the powerlifter's level, but the point is everything in life has a sequential order. And the people who consistently fail again and again and again are the ones who do not respect the sequential order and understand that there are steps that you need to take one by one by one. And you will get to the destination, but you don't get to the destination by thinking, you know what, fuck the roadmap. I'm so smart, I'm just gonna go straight to the destination and figure out myself. Good luck, my friend. I wish you the best. There we go, a little heated moment there. But that's because, like, as I said, I just feel like there's so much bullshit out there. Like, people feeding you so much shit, trying to sensationalize stuff, trying to like reframe things, when it simply comes down to, at different stages of your career, there are different things that you should do. So my point is, before you try to become a millionaire, can we just get you to 100,000? Maybe not even 100,000. Can we get you to 50,000 a year? Does that sound achievable? Can we get you to $4,000 a month? I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm not saying next week, but could we make that our goal first rather than trying to become some fucking multimillionaire here? Can we just try to get you to 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, you know, maybe even $200,000 a year? Anything past that, I'm not trying to help you with here. I mean, you can use the information to get there, but that's not really what I'm trying to get you to do here. I'm trying to get you to 100,000 a year with as little risk as humanly possible, because I do not want to see any of you guys in debt. I don't want to see any of you guys thinking that with no money, you can go ahead and you can start becoming a real estate investor and then get yourself into financial woes, get yourself into debt, get yourself into problems that are going to affect you for the rest of your life. I want you guys to do something where you can fail and it doesn't matter, because as long as you don't quit, eventually you're going to win, and you're going to do it without having scars and without fucking up your life. So with all that being said, choosing the wrong business is how you guarantee that you never succeed online. So the first thing you need to do to succeed online is a no-cost business. And for me, I've really only ever seen one type of online business that can truly run at no risk and no cost, and that is a service-based business. And why is that? Well, first of all, because it doesn't cost you anything to deliver the service. You could either deliver it yourself, or you can deliver it through a contractor without ever having to pay anything out of pocket by using something that I started talking about 6 years ago, because I started using it the year before that, called contractor arbitrage. Just like how I taught you in episode 1. And second, it only takes a sale or two a month to make a lot of money with this. So I'll break down the numbers for you in just a second. But what you need to understand now is that making one sale to a business, by the way, that have a much bigger budget is 200 times easier than making, let's say, 200 sales of a physical product that people don't necessarily need. And because of that, you also don't need to invest tens of thousands into ads to make those hundreds of sales, because you only need to get one and you can afford to manually reach out to potential clients. And because you don't need to reach out to that many people to get one client, you can do everything manually without ever having to invest into ads. I got to my first $100,000 a month with my agency without ever investing a dime into ads. It was only a couple months after that I started using ads to get clients. And you can do the same. If you've watched episode 1, you already know how this works. And if you haven't, the way we get clients with this business is by sending cold messages to people. And that could be sending emails, sending Instagram DMs, messages on LinkedIn, or simply by calling them. And then in these messages, we just show that we can help them by actually helping them. And then if they want more help, well, then they become paying clients. And it's that simple. And if you don't believe my words that approaching it like this works, just read this win from our student Yakub. He says, another $4,000 client signed just a few minutes ago. The perspective I had, focusing on actually helping people and not caring about the money. It's not about closing $4,000, $10,000 deals, but how I can give away $4,000 or $10,000 worth of value. And that is pretty much exactly what I've been telling you during this entire event. Trust me, it works. And even better, remember when we talked about the shoe example? You would have had to quit your job to start the business because it requires full-time attention. Well, that is the beauty of this business model. You don't need to burn the bridges straight away. In fact, it's stupid if you do that. You can do this while still working your day job, while still studying in university. There is no need to quit your job or drop out, because you can comfortably do this part-time while you prove to yourself that it's possible. So instead of sending 100 outreach messages a day, just send 50 for now. It's as simple as that. It's going to take you a little bit longer to achieve the results, but you are literally doing it at zero risk. And for you to understand what this is, let's quickly go back to our shoe store example. Let's say that in one of the months, you work very, very hard on a marketing campaign. You train your salespeople to be able to handle every single objection a customer might have about that promotion, and you invest a bunch of money and time on the build up for this campaign. And it works. Everything goes not only as planned, but even better. The promotion exceeds all expectations. All the targets you set were hit, and you managed to make $20,000 that month. It was a record-breaking month. Now the problem is, what happens once that month ends? You're back at zero. Everything you just did this month, all the extra work that you put in, it worked. I'll give it to you. It worked. But now you have to exceed expectations again, another month, starting back from zero. Do you know how hard it is to do that? It feels like going hunting by yourself and having to kill a lion with your bare hands. Not once, not twice, but every single day. You wake up and you are back to zero. You have to do it over and over again with no guarantee that things are ever gonna work. And as you've seen, making $10,000 in a month once with that type of business is already difficult. Now, having to do that consistently month after month, there are not that many people that can do that. And that is why most people never get to $10,000 a month. And the ones that do get there only hit that mark once or twice, and then it's downhill from there. Now, how much easier would that be if once you sell $10,000 in a month, the next month you start at $10,000 instead of having to start at zero and work your way all the way back up to $10,000 again? How much more consistently would you hit $10,000 a month in this scenario? I mean, it's so hard to compare because starting the month at the exact same revenue that you ended last month, it feels like an unfair advantage. And it is. And that is why businesses with fidelity are superior business models. I call it profitable fidelity. And if you want to make $10,000 a month online, not once, but consistently, month after month after month, and to be able to grow your revenue in the process, you got to pick a business that has profitable fidelity. And that, my friend, is the second thing you need to run a profitable business. And it's only an agency model that can provide us with these two elements: a true no-cost business and profitable fidelity. And that's why so often in the Agency Accelerator student community, you're gonna see people say things like, hitting my second 10K month in a row. Because if you hit that number once, it's pretty much a given that you're gonna hit that number again the month after. Now, let me break it down for you how the numbers work in practice in a business with these two elements and how simple it is to make $10,000 a month with it. Once again, not easy. I'm not saying easy here. I'm just saying simple. So here's the math to $100,000 with this business. Remember that in episode 1, I gave you the process for signing clients? Well, if you don't, here's a quick summary of it. All you have to do is put together a list of potential clients to reach out to. Then you send them a message. Then you get on a meeting with the ones that reply positively to your message. And then finally, on that meeting, you close them into your agency services. That's it. Now let's take a look at how much time it would take you to get to a $100,000 run rate with this process. If you start with the first step, sourcing leads. Let's say you sourced a list of 60 people to reach out to, and it took you about 2 hours to do that. Well, that means that in total, it took you about 2 minutes per profile. Then you consider the time you spent sending your messages to these prospects. So let's say it took you in total 3 hours to send all of your messages. That means that the average time per message sent was 3 minutes. And just remember that the message you're sending all of them is exactly the same. Obviously, you're gonna have a bit of personalization here and there, but really the meat of it is the same. So you only need to write the message once. The rest of the time is just copying and pasting the message, then changing the name on the message and sending it. So you are now at 5 minutes spent per contacted person in total, considering both steps, lead sourcing and reaching out to the leads. So I guess to make things more simple, 2 minutes to find the profile and 3 minutes to send the message to the profile. So 5 minutes per lead. Now, if you have to figure out how many messages you have to send to get a reply, let's say that every 6 messages you send, you get 1 reply. So that means that your total time per reply is 30 minutes. Now, how many replies do you need in order to get a meeting? Let's assume that you need 8 replies. So in total, you need to invest 4 hours in order to get a meeting. Now, how many meetings do you need to have in order to close a client? Let's say that you need to have 5 meetings in order to get 1 yes. That means that in total, you would have invested 20 hours to close your first paying client. Only 20 hours. Let me really break this down for you. You're gonna invest 20 hours in order to start getting paid anywhere from the region of, if you're a beginner, between $500 and $2,000 a month on a retainer. I think that's pretty worth the effort, no? And by the way, all the numbers here I'm using are very realistic, but let's say that this is the first time you're doing this. You're a complete beginner, so you don't have any practice, so it takes you double the time it normally would. If you commit to this and decide to get it done in a 1-week time frame, that is 8 hours per day of work without even having to work on the weekend. Now, if you decide that you want to go all in and you also want to work on the weekend, well then in that 7-day window, it's going to take you 5 hours and 30 minutes of work per day to get your first paying client. And by the way, that's what I suggest you do because you're going to get results so much faster, by the way. Now, Let's even go a step further. Let's say that after you sign your first client, you dedicate 4 hours of your day to outreach and 3 hours of your day to service delivery. And by the way, that's way more than you need for service delivery. But in case you don't have the 3 hours for service delivery because you work a full-time job or maybe you study full-time, you can get this done for you by someone else using contractor arbitrage. And this way, you're gonna get that time down to only 2 hours a week. But for now, let's call it 4 hours of outreach and 3 hours of service delivery in this example. Then you manage to get your outreach time down to 20 hours in the example I originally gave. Well, then in 5 working days, you would have signed your second client. Do it for 1 more week and you sign your third client. Do it for 1 month consistently and you already have 4 clients paying you anywhere from $500 to $3,000, because obviously after your first couple clients, you should end up charging more money because you're gonna have more experience and more confidence to charge. But let's say that we take the average between $1,000 and $3,000. As I said, because you're gonna be increasing your prices. So your average retainer is now $2,000. If you work for 60 days on this and manage to sign a new client every 12 days at that $2,000 example, you would have already been at $10,000 a month already. And by the way, just remember that that's extrapolating by more than double than our original calculations of 5 days to close a client working 4 hours a day. Because once again, I factored in that you're a beginner, so it'll probably take you twice as long. So $10,000 a month is a $120,000 a year run rate. And that is why I say that with an agency business, as long as you do the work, and don't get me wrong, you will have to put the work in. This is no fancy automation, passive income, running your business by the beach on autopilot bullshit here. I'm gonna invest in this meme coin and there's a 99.99% chance I'm gonna lose all my money, but that 0.01% chance that, you know what, maybe it 10x's. Cool, just go to a fucking lottery at that point. So as long as you do the work and you send the outreach messages, with an agency business, $100,000 a year is the norm. It might not happen in a week. It might not happen in a month. You know what? It might not even happen in 6 months, but I have never, and I have been doing this for so long, I've never seen someone who can truly look themselves in the mirror and say to themselves, I stuck to this. I made a promise to myself and I committed to this promise. I genuinely, from all my heart, not even gave 100%. I gave 60%. I gave 70% of my effort and my discipline and focus to this thing. And I did this for a year straight and isn't making $100,000 a year. I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight. I'm not saying it's gonna happen in a week. I'm saying this will take some time. But the numbers, the stats, the game plan is in your favor. It's so simple. Not easy, but so simple that all you have to do is just put your head down and work. Just like I did when I was 16 years old and I started this business, and just like my thousands of other students do that follow the same roadmap, step by step by step, not getting ahead of themselves or thinking that there are some smart ass who should go start a software company or go start a new D2C brand and pour $100,000 into stock. And all of these other undisciplined people online that just think that for some reason they have a God-given right to act like a multimillionaire and operate their businesses and finances in a way that someone would after 5 years in the game. No. As I said, my students stick to the plan, are diligent, and that is why they succeed. Not overnight. As I said, sometimes it takes even a little longer than anticipated, but if they stick to the plan, I've never seen it fail. So with all that being said, do majority of people get to $10,000 a month within 60 days? No, most people don't. As I mentioned, why? Because they get distracted by the next shiny object, or by watching YouTube videos that they don't need to be watching, or by doing busy work like building a website or working on the SOPs of their business. By the way, SOP means standard operating procedure, when they have no employees, by the way. And they do all of that to avoid at any cost the one actual thing that matters, which is doing outreach. They get distracted. They see this new AI business model that's gonna kill all the agencies out there and steal all of your jobs, or whatever new shiny object is popping off that week. Because by the way, don't get it twisted. Every week there's a new person that has some new revolutionary method. And that new revolutionary method ignores all of the tried and tested business principles that have been in place for decades, if not even centuries. But yeah, no, for sure. You should definitely go invest in that new meme coin. And you should definitely go try that new white label AI business model, because those things really have a strong track record of working, don't they? So whenever you see these things pop up and you feel that fear of missing out, just try to see things for what they actually are, which is a distraction. Just think logically about it. Just think logically about it. The things that everyone has been saying for 6 months about AI. Look around you. Look at your friends. How many people do you know that have actually gotten rich with AI, other than the owner of OpenAI, which is ChatGPT's parent company? None. I can bet on that. And by the way, this is coming from someone who literally uses AI in his software companies. We literally have an AI component inside of our software. So I'm speaking as a person who uses this technology in his companies. And I can tell you, listen, in 5 years and 10 years, no one can predict the future. I'm talking about the next year or 2 years. It's just a distraction. I can bet on that. Everyone's talking about it. Yet I don't know a single person that's actually gotten rich off of it, and I sure as hell don't see any people around losing their jobs. Employment is very strong at the moment, so let's use the same thought process to the agency space. You can take virtually any city in the world and you're gonna find a successful agency owner in that city. Every single one. All you have to do is go on Google and search marketing agency plus city name, and dozens of successful agencies will pop up in the search results. And those are just the marketing agencies, by the way. And there are endless types of agencies that you can have. And usually when people hear that, they go, oh, but won't that make the agency space saturated? No, it won't. Because once again, let's go ahead and use our little brains and just let's think about this for a second. If there's 10 successful agencies in virtually every city in North and Latin America, Western Europe, the Middle East, Asia, on and on, how many businesses are there in each one of those very same cities? There are at least 100 businesses in that city, many times thousands, and sometimes even tens of thousands of businesses in each of these cities. A lot of times, hundreds of thousands of businesses within a single city. And all you need to do is get 5 to 10 clients to make 6 figures with this. Listen, I'm not telling you to go sell tens of thousands of physical products. I mean, at this point, actually north of 100,000 physical products. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to go sell hundreds of thousands of units of a newly started business. I'm not telling you to go get 23,000 users like I have at my main software company. And as I've said, you can go do those things. Please go do those things in the future. But when you're starting your first business, you need to be practical. All you need to do here is just get 5 to 10 clients. You don't need to do it this week. You don't need to do it this month. But as I keep drilling into you, it's a very simple path. You just need to follow it. And when you think about the fact there's usually tens of thousands of businesses in a single city, there's simply not enough agencies to deliver on those services. So don't get it twisted. There's no shortage of demand for agency services. There is a shortage on the amount of agencies providing services for the businesses in need. And that is a fact. So just remember, this business works today. It worked last year. It worked 5 years ago. It worked 10 years ago. This business worked 50 years ago, and it will continue to work in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And you can get your very first paying client as long as you don't pay attention to the distractions along the way and actually do the work. And the main thing to focus on is the outreach. And funnily enough, we have tested a 6-week coaching program with a few of our students from the past iteration of my agency program, where our coaches met with them once a week to give them proper actionables for them to complete each week and keep them accountable on doing the work. And if you take the students that completed that 6-week coaching, they were 11.7 times more likely to sign a client than a regular student. So this was very interesting for us because they had the exact same modules and programs as regular students. The only difference was they were kept accountable on actually doing the work, on sending outreach messages consistently every single week. Meaning, if you do the work, you are very likely to sign a client. So listen, at this point, you already know that the reason why you aren't making money online yet is because up until now, you believe that starting a business was risky and it required money to make money. Which once again, definitely very true 40 years ago. And second, you know that the way to guarantee failure online is by choosing a business model that isn't appropriate for your current career stage. And finally, you now know that in order to succeed online, you need a no-cost business and profitable fidelity, and that an agency is really the only business that can provide you with both. And I've also broken down how much time it takes to get to $10,000 a month with your agency. Now, I want to give you the 2 things that you actually need to succeed with your agency. The first is the proven plan, and that is Agency Accelerator. Putting together this plan has cost me 8 years of trials and errors and every mistake that I've made along my agency journey that I started when I was 16 and that I ran for 6 years. And not only that, but I've been developing this plan with my education company for over half a decade. It all started with my first program, 6-figure SMMA, and then I came out with my 2.0 version, Agency Incubator after that, and then I released my very popular V3 version, Agency Navigator, and now we have the 4th and final iteration. And by the way, I want to make this clear, this will be my final program, the 4th and final iteration of the proven plan to go from $0 to $10,000 a month with your agency. And that is Agency Accelerator. And for this program, I decided to do things completely differently. You see, when I started architecting Agency Accelerator, I knew that this was going to be my last agency program I release for good. So I wanted to make this the best online business program the world has ever seen, to put the nail in the coffin and leave no question on what's the best program ever in this industry. And that's why I decided to not only build it myself with my 8 years of experience in the agency world, both running an agency and then training other people, but also bring on the top agency experts in the world to teach you alongside me. So let me show you that in practice. So this program has 6 phases, the same 6 phases of our plan. Phase 1 is foundations, and here you're basically going to learn how to set everything up. That is, how to choose a service to offer, how to choose a niche, how to get paid, how to prepare yourself to onboard clients, basically everything you need to get up and running. And then I thought to myself, well, who would be the best person to help teach how to set up your agency flawlessly and as quickly as humanly possible to set yourself up for success from the get-go? And who better to teach that than the person who sees the inner workings of thousands of agencies every single month? Some agencies with 1 client, some with 5, some with 10, and some with hundreds of clients. That someone is Pierre, and he's my co-founder and business partner at Flowzy, which is a software that agencies use to run their operations, billing, and client communication, as well as website, onboarding, many other things. But just so you understand how much insight Pierre has into other agencies, last time I checked, there were over 378,000 invoices paid through Flowzy. That is 378,000 times someone has sent a client an invoice for a service and they actually got paid. And Pierre gets to see how each one of those agencies operates behind the scenes. And he's very involved with all of our users inside of Flowzy. So he's going to be teaching alongside me both in phase 1, which is foundations, as well as phase 5, which is systems and processes. Then we have our second phase, which is mindset. And this is where I'm going to show you what mindsets you need to adopt in order to succeed in this game and how to prepare yourself mentally, how to structure your days, and all of the mindset stuff that is just as important, yet no one talks about. Because it doesn't matter if I give you all the tactical and strategic content if you can't apply it because your mindset is limiting you. And that is exactly what our student Ted experienced himself. In his first 4.5 months in the program, he got no results. But his next 4.5 months, he signed 10 clients. And as he wrote himself, strip away the bad habits first. It's more about what you're doing than what you're not doing. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this phase. I'm going to personally help you identify all the limiting beliefs you have ingrained deep inside of you that stops you from succeeding. And I'm going to show you the step-by-step to unwire those beliefs and build new ones that allow you to unlock your successful self. Then we move on to phase 3, outreach. So here we get, once again, into the most important aspect of this business. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have done a lot of outreach in my time. I would say I'm probably in the top 1% of agency owners who have done the most outreach in their careers. But the thing is, I eventually stopped doing outreach simply because I was the best at service delivery. That was the thing that set my agency apart for years. And as a result, it got to a point where we didn't really need to outreach anymore to get new clients. Honestly, they would simply come to us because of the results that we've gotten for other clients. So I wanted to bring on someone who could teach the most cutting edge, the latest and greatest strategies for outreach in 2024. So I thought to myself, who could that be? And then I took the same approach as I did with Pierre. I thought, who better to teach outreach than the guy who owns the very tool that all of the agencies use to do their outreach, Lemlist. So that's why I brought on Guillaume, who's the founder of Lemlist, a multi-$100 million software company that he owns that businesses use to turbocharge their outreach. You want to know something really funny about Guillaume, by the way? This is a man who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way. You want to know what business he started with? Yeah, an agency. What did he do? He wasn't a smartass. He followed the steps. He built a cash flow business. And then once he actually had some cash, he was able to take the big risk of starting a software company. And it worked out. And by the way, you want to know what Pierre was doing? He was an agency owner that was building another software on the side before him and I partnered up and created our software company. So isn't it interesting how Guillaume, Pierre, and myself, people who have gone on to create wildly successful businesses in different industries, all started at the same place, an agency. Sorry, that was just a little side note thought that I had here. But getting back to the point, just so you understand, Lemlist is the tool that pretty much any single agency that considers itself as a serious agency uses for cold outreach. Just in the last 30 days, the outreach messages sent through Lemlist have generated $118 million in deals for all types of client services. And Guillaume gets to see the content of literally each one of those messages. So he knows better than anyone on earth what works and what doesn't work when it comes to cold outreach. And most importantly, he knows exactly what's working today for your niche and your service. And he will teach you how to do outreach to get clients on demand. So after this phase, getting potential clients interested in working with you will never be a problem ever again. Then we move on to phase 4, sales. And this is another very interesting one. I personally think that out of all of the aspects of running an agency, sales was the one that I was the worst at. Now that didn't stop me from making crazy amounts of money with my agency, because the thing is, I usually worked with just a small handful of clients at any given time. I mean, hardly I would ever work with more than 10 to 12 clients simultaneously. And that's because I focused on working with a small number of clients that paid extremely well each. And with all those clients, we had big performance deals. So I didn't need to work with too many different different people at the same time. So to be honest, I didn't really hop into that many sales calls. So that's why I wanted someone who was world-class at this to teach you every single detail you need to pay attention to when it comes to sales. But not any type of sale, agency sales specifically. And that's why I brought on not one, but two gentlemen to teach you agency sales inside of our phase 4 of Agency Accelerator. Their names are Matt and Josh. And together, Matt and Josh have over 350 active agency clients on their roster. That's about 30 times as many as I ever had myself. And they got so good at the entire client acquisition process that they're now at a point where they're buying agencies doing multiple 5 figures a month, rolling them up together, ramping up their sales process, and selling them for multiple times what they paid initially. Listen, I'll be honest, I tip my hat off to these gentlemen. There really are levels to this agency game, and you can say that Matt and Josh are on top of that game. And they will be personally teaching you how to sign clients on demand and sell agency services for 4, 5, and even 6-figure retainers. This, along with outreach, are the most in-depth phases inside of Agency Accelerator. And that's because if you get good at this, it's game over. It doesn't matter what you do. You are going to be rich if you learn these two things, because you would have mastered the ability of getting people to pay you thousands and thousands of dollars a month, every single month. So after going through this phase, all of your sales calls are going to be exactly like this one from our student, Matt. Not the same Matt that's teaching the program, by the way. $2,480 per month. 4-month minimum, 2-call close. The sale was made in discovery, almost zero resistance on the second call. Then that takes us to phase 5, which is systems and processes. Listen, it's simple. Just as important as being able to get clients is having the ability to keep them. So this is where me and Pierre will personally give you the systems and processes you need in order to keep clients for a long time. Everything from the perfect onboarding funnel to make sure they have the best client experience from the get-go, all the way down to how they communicate with them to make sure that they're always happy, all the way to reporting, automated billing, every single detail that matters when it comes to providing your clients with an A1 client experience. This is where you're gonna get dozens of plug-and-play templates for your website that you literally just poured in like that. Same thing with your onboarding funnel, and even step-by-step on exactly what to do with your first 100 days after signing a client. Step-by-step, literally in your first 100 days, once you sign a client, this is what you do. And this is also where we're gonna go in depth into how to actually find and manage the best contractors to get all of the service delivery done for you without ever having to pay anything out of pocket. Then we have phase 6. Now, inside of the original plan I gave you, phase 6 was service delivery. Now, inside Agency Accelerator, you're not gonna see that phase 6 is actually service delivery. And the reason that is because I didn't feel like one phase was enough for service delivery. And for me, that's simply because there are so many different services that you can offer your clients. TikTok ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, conversion rate optimization, email marketing, copywriting, and so on. So what I decided to do was this. I've put together 3 entire programs for service delivery. 3 entire extra bonus programs. The first one is Ad Architect by Justin Lalonde. Now, Justin actually started as a student of Agency Incubator, which was the 4th iteration of this program that I launched 4 years ago. And today he runs one of the most successful paid traffic agencies in the world. Inside Ad Architect, he's going to teach you how to run wildly profitable ads from scratch, even if you have never run a single ad in your life. That includes Facebook ads, Google ads, and TikTok ads. The second one is Pen to Profit with my own CMO, Luis Berger. Now, Luis actually started off as an intern for my agency 5 years ago, and today he's the brains behind some of the most successful internet campaigns and product launches ever made. And the most interesting thing is that he started off as a media buyer, but his most valuable skill turned out to be a copywriter. With his copy, he's not only generated tens of millions of dollars for myself inside of my various different businesses, but he's also written the copy for sales videos for our clients when we were running our agency that I used to sell to clients for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a single sales video script. And inside Pen to Profit, he's going to teach you how to write copy for these very same sales videos, as well as ad copy, landing page copy, sales page copy, whatever you can think of. And then finally, you're going to get Inbox Insiders. We just finished recording this program with Boyan, who is one of the top experts in the world when it comes to email marketing. He runs a wildly successful email marketing agency, and he has personally generated more than $50 million in sales for his clients through the emails that he writes. And inside of Inbox Insiders, Boyan will personally teach you how to run your own successful email marketing agency and make tens of thousands a month with it. So you get to pick and choose which service resonates the most with you, and you'll have a full-blown program going over it inside Agency Accelerator. So does that mean that you don't get a phase 6? Not at all. You do indeed get a phase 6. It's just not about service delivery. All of that is taught in the extra bonus programs that you get with Agency Accelerator. Instead, I decided to make phase 6 about inbound marketing, and I'll personally teach you how to build a personal brand that attracts clients on autopilot for you. I'm going to show you how to create a content machine, produce content that actually performs on YouTube, as well as show you how to get clients from Twitter. This way, you don't need to solely rely on doing manual outreach, but instead, you can get clients coming and asking to work with you. That is the power of inbound marketing. And this is your plan to start a successful agency from scratch in 2024. So let's get to the next obvious question here, which is how much does all of this cost? So look, the previous iteration of this program, Agency Navigator, sells for $14.95 or $9.99. We've split tested the price before, but let's call it $1,500. So it only makes sense now that we've 10 times the value of this product for us to charge more. And also with the old program, you only got Agency Navigator. Now, inside of its big brother program, Agency Accelerator, you get the Agency Accelerator core program, you get Ad Architect, you get Inbox Insiders, and you get Pen to Profit. And each one of these programs can go for $1,500 on their own. Each one of these programs are anywhere from 7 to 20 hours long. This isn't no Loom video, oh, we just made a little Google Doc training for you. No, these are 7 to 20 hour long programs. You will never ever have to open YouTube again in your life. You'll never have to open Google search in your life. Every single thing that you could ever need to know is inside of there. And that is why each one of these programs could go for $1,500 on their own. And there are thousands of people that will buy them because they are the best programs out there on their topics. As I said, they're not just some shitty program that I threw together as a free bonus. And each one of these programs cost me more than $100,000 to produce because we record all of them in the most beautiful penthouses and villas around the world. Dubai, Cape Town, Central London. These locations cost on average $10,000 a night to stay in. And we record all of our paid programs with Red Raptor cameras. By the way, if you weren't aware, those are the same cameras that Marvel and Disney use in their movies. Each one of these programs is a cinematic masterpiece, and you get each one of these programs. So $1,500 for each is a steal, and that would be $6,000 for the package combined. And if I were to sell it for this price, a lot of people would buy it. In fact, I used to sell my high-ticket agency program called Copy Paste Agency for $9,800 a few years ago. And I had hundreds of students inside there. And the content that you're getting inside of Agency Accelerator today is even better than Copy Paste Agency was back then. But you're not paying $9,800 for it. In fact, you're not even going to be paying the total $6,000. Now, there's one important thing for you to know. Agency Accelerator is only officially launching in a few months. And that is because the last 2 phases, as well as some of the bonus programs, are still being edited by our production team. The first 3 phases are already on the platform. I believe the 4th one is releasing today or in a couple days maximum. And then the next 2 phases plus the bonus programs are releasing in the next few weeks. So that's why Agency Accelerator is only officially launching in a few months. But more importantly than that, before we actually launch publicly, I want to let in a couple thousand people into the program today. So that way we can ensure that we have the best success stories that we've ever had for our public launch. And when we do launch publicly in a few months, the official selling price for Agency Accelerator is going to be $1,995. So let's call it $2,000. If you want to join the program for $2,000 in 10 days, I'm sorry, we can't take your money. We're not accepting people. So honestly, I don't know when I'm going to open it up. For me, it really depends on how long it takes to get our first 1,000 success stories inside of it. So realistically, me and my team are going to have to work with the founding members for a few months. And then when I do reopen it, if you want to join, you can join. It's going to be $1,995. Here's the thing. I want to give you a plan for this program to pay for itself in 6 weeks. How does that sound to you? You see, inside of episode 3, I gave you the first 100-day plan to get your first client. The thing is, when I was talking to my success team of over 15 coaches who have been coaching inside of my agency programs for years now, they all agreed on one thing. That timeline could be shortened a lot. So we sat down together and we came up with a plan for our founding members to get their first client in 6 weeks. This is the exact same 6-week coaching protocol that I mentioned earlier in this video. We call it the 6-week fast track. And our coaches have personally tested this system one-on-one with more than 2,000 of our students. And we got it to a point where it simply works. Now, the initial premise of it was simple. The curriculum you get inside of Agency Accelerator is composed of 6 phases. Now, some of these phases are very in-depth, so it might take some people longer than a week to go through it. And realistically, we don't want people having to wait 6 to 8 weeks before seeing their initial results. We want people signing their first clients as early as possible when they first join the program. So we thought, what if we just take the actionables that people need to take action on for each phase, list them, coach them on how to do each one of them, and then get them to do all of the actionable steps within a week. So this way, they'd be able to do the work that needs to be done within 6 weeks without necessarily having to watch every single minute of the program. And then, if they do have any questions or doubts about one specific topic, well then they can dive deeper into the classes for that specific phase. And here are the results of this test. Earlier this week, I mentioned that our lead and most experienced coach on the team, Andres, worked with a student named Armando. Now, Armando joined the program end of August last year. At first, before going through the fast track with Andres, he was trying to figure everything out on his own. He was 19, working a hard labor construction job, and was just a bit all over the place with his life. He then started working with Andres in September, and he promised him that he was going to quit his job and go all in with his agency. And so he did. And by the next call he had quit his construction job. And this is where it gets interesting. After that, he actually went quiet for an entire month. And the reason that is he actually got offered another job and was making over $5,000 a month there. But he still felt like that wasn't enough for him. So he quit that job too, and went back to the plan Andres gave him. And by the next call, a month later, Armando was a different person. He had gotten to $5,000 per month in client retainers and was looking like a very well put together individual. He then promised Andres that he'd only get to the next call with him after he got to $10,000 a month. And a month later, in October, he did. And the last time they spoke, he was at $35,000 a month and looking to sign a client at $30,000 a month plus equity. So from the time he started going through fast track with Andres, it took him 3 months to get to $10,000 a month. And Armando is just one of hundreds of stories like this that we have inside. Here's Edvin, who went from $0 to $12,000 a month in 5 months as a 15-year-old, while still being in school. Not high school though, middle school. And you can see Saeed, who's been inside of the program for 2 months and signed his first whale client at $8,500 upfront, plus 8% revenue share. And then there's Svetin, who signed 4 clients in a single month, taking him to just shy of $10,000 a month. I could go on for hours, but you get the point. This program just works. And what I want to give you is access to this exact same 6-week fast track today. I'm going to get our most experienced coach, Andres, to host a call every single week for the first 6 weeks and personally run you through the 6-week fast track. So that way, this program can pay for itself in 6 weeks. Now, here's the catch. Our live calls can only handle 1,000 people inside. So we're gonna limit the 6-week fast track to the first 1,000 people who join Agency Accelerator today when I open enrollments. The enrollments will be open for the entire week, but only the first 1,000 to register will get access to the fast track. Now, as I said, the official price for this program is $1,995. Now, with all that being said, the enrollments officially open in 3, 2, 1, now. If you're watching live, you can find a link to the enrollment page in the pinned comment in the live chat. If you're not watching live, you can find the link in the pinned comment below this video, as well as in the description. All you have to do to enroll is click the Save My Spot Now button, and you're gonna get redirected to our custom platform. There, you just input your contact information and then your payment details. Once your payment has been confirmed, you're gonna get redirected straight away into our student platform, and you're gonna have instant access to the program. But can this actually pay for itself in 6 weeks? If you're still asking yourself, is this worth it? Or if the program can actually pay for itself in 6 weeks, let's just run through a thought experiment. Really, all you need to do for this to be able to pay for itself is be able to get meetings, be able to close one single client, and then get this one client results so they stay with you. Now, with all of the training from Guillaume, the guy who just in the last 30 days alone has overseen $118 million in deals being closed through cold outreach on his software, do you think he's capable of teaching you how to get a few meetings through this exact same outreach process? I'm willing to bet that he can. Now, with all of the training from Matt and Josh, who currently have more than 350 active clients and have signed hundreds and hundreds more, do you think that they can teach you how to sign one single client? I'm pretty sure that they can. And signing a client is not that big of a deal. It's very simple. It's just a matter of following the step-by-step given to you. Just like Lars, Joshua, Aiden, Saeed, and thousands of others of students who have done so and do so every single day inside of our student community. And then finally, with 3 full-blown programs on how to deliver results for your clients, plus being able to hire contractors to do all of the work for you, do you think that it's out of this world for you to get your clients good results? Not at all. So just ask yourself, if all this program did was just help you land one client that pays $1,000 a month, which would add an extra $12,000 per year to your income, would it be worth it? If all it did was give you an access to a network of entrepreneurs doing anywhere from $2,000 to $100,000 a month with their agencies, who you can network with, mastermind with, build real friendships with, would it be worth it? If all it did was give you a step-by-step system for you to copy and paste so that way you too can achieve financial, location, and time freedom, would it be worth it? Well, Agency Accelerator gives you all of that and more. Remember, what we have here is not normal. This opportunity is not normal. To earn this sort of income in a regular job takes qualifications, decades of work, and slave-like hours. But for us, when you start an agency and set it up in the right way, 100K a year is the norm. So just the fact that you're coming across this information is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So now, it's time for you to make a decision. Are you going to go back to the traditional path of going to university, working a regular job, which you already know where that's going to take you, and which you already know is not what you want from life? Or are you going to take a chance and give the unconventional path a shot, so that way maybe you too can live an incredible life? Well, I can't make that decision for you. I can only hope that you choose what's obvious. So, with that being said, I hope to see you inside Agency Accelerator, and just know that, as always, I'm watching from afar, and I'm rooting for you.